What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here and welcome back to the discography from the band that is Oasis. And I'm going to be reviewing their next album after their last record, entitled Don't Believe the Truth. Don't Believe the Truth is the sixth studio album by Oasis, released on the 30th of May 2005 by Big Brother Recordings Limited. This is the next album to be released through the Big Brother Recordings Limited label that was founded by Noel Gallagher. This is the follow-up to their last album, Heath and Chemistry, that was released back in 2002. During the era of Heath and Chemistry, the drummer Alan White, who had replaced Tony McCarroll in the mid-90s, had decided to leave the band. Don't Believe the Truth has been very involving with all of the contributions for the rest of the band. Gem Archer and Andy Bell decided to write more material for this record, and Noel had said that the album is his favourite of the band's last four for that very reason. Dave Sardy was chosen as the next producer for this album. The album released 3 singles: Lila on the 16th of May, The Importance of Being Idle on the 22nd of August, and Let There Be Love on the 28th of November. The album went to number 1 in the UK Albums Chart, did receive positive reviews. Don't Believe the Truth to me is a way better and approachable record when I have been thinking about it, because I did like this album at first. The more I listen to it, however, it does make this approach to be better and stronger, because obviously we know about, the hype and the rave things about Definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, and for me to be one of the big defenders and lovers of Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, Don't Believe the Truth for me is an improvement musically, writing wise, and with the sound of the band than what Heath and Chemistry was. Heath and Chemistry did have moments, but at the same time, the delivery was just not all complete and as, highly consistent, because there were a lot of these flaws that were, sometimes passable, but it was just not enough to call it one of the best later Oasis albums. But Don't Believe the Truth is 100% so acceptable and as a bolder album. Dave Sardy's production as well is really, really good on here. Spike Stent, who produced the Shoulder of Giants album, was amazing. He had his own technique, and I know that I have loved that album's production a lot better, and it's to me a warmer and huger sound than what the overproduction of Be Here Now was. Spike did a great job with that album, but I really like Dave Sardy's way of style and vision on this production side whilst he was working with Noel Gallagher. And the rest of the musicians, Gem Archer and Andy Bell, and with others like Zach Starkey, obviously Ringo's son, they all did wonderful jobs to make this album a really good, confident and progressive mark in the later period of the band. Turn Up the Sun is a brilliant song to start the album, written by Andy Bell, and clean guitars with the mellow sound did sound gorgeous, great structure on its melody, a simple rhythm to it as well, and Liam's vocals sounded very, very good, and they do command, especially with the lyrics on the chorus, with the repeated line of love one another. This has a jumpy hook to it, and it's got a memorable form of the simplicity, and it does get better over time. One of my favourites on the album, verse-wise, like on the first few lines, can be reflective about the behaviour of the Gallaghers, from their swagger and being so confident and their attitude. And then there's one line later, lines-wise, makes a reference on the piano, as Noel does play piano, and as well as that, Liam actually was learning how to play it as well. But I do love Turn Up the Sun. It didn't need to be as aggressively loud and as bombastic and so energetic like Rock and Roll Star, but Turn Up the Sun is always to me one of their best later tracks across their career. Mucky Fingers quite a bopping inspired song from the Velvet Underground, like I'm Waiting for the Man, on their repetition, and I think that is exactly alike for this song. And not only that this is very basic in the formula on the chords, but Noel's vocals were brilliant with a tone on his higher range. You can hear the sounds of the harmonicas to the piano to continue the sound of the instrumentation. It's a very nice, sweet song, and some of the lyrics make the beginning on the religion side, hence like the fourth verse and onwards around the piece. But it does dive into a deeper personal setting as the words carry on. It's a really, really good song, and it does make this optimistic direction. Lila is another excellent song, one of the other highlights on here. This one is very much inspired by The Who, as Noel wrote this song that makes it like an inspiration from the song Harmonia City in the Sky from The Who, from their classic The Who Sell Out album. But it is like a psychedelic, poppy feel surrounding it. Liam's vocals were awesome, and the chorus does stand strong while the music bursts in with a lot of the passion and positivity. And this is a track that I do see as one of the strongest ones as well, because it is super catchy and with this massive presence, repeatable but still a fun groove. The next song, Love Like a Bomb, Liam Gallagher and Gem Archer wrote this song together actually, and I really like this one as much as well, because this is like on a blues shuffle type of flow. The acoustic nature does come in with the shakers and the tambourine that do come into play here. It was completing the hook. The more I was diving into the song, I love the intriguing sound, as it feels to me like a Rolling Stone era from their heyday, like from their mid to late 60s setting. I think this one is very underrated, to be honest with you, because, you know, it's not as positively accepted as a lot of the other ones here, but I think that Love Like a Bomb is another pretty strong gem. The Importance of Being Idle, quite potentially one of Noel's most creative sounds, because this is something like as top tier, like the master plan. Noel's head voice was great and gentle. The clean guitars were attaching the tone that was so lovely, and the other instruments on the keyboards to the drums and the bass do create this theatrical musical direction, in my opinion. Noel supposedly got the title from the book called The Importance of Being Idle, a little book of lazy inspiration, whilst he was cleaning out his soon-to-be wife's garage at the time, wife being Sarah MacDonald. The first few lines make a few references to his laziness, later ones mentioning about the weather being so rainy and damp, and then a forged sick line while he was at the doctor's. It's very descriptive lyrically, but it does make it a wonderful song. Very much like something on a bit of like a Sgt. Pepper feel. I know that is, you know, pretty surprising, but you know, it does make me think of that way when I listen to this song at the same time. Probably my least favourite, The Meaning of Soul. It's a very raw sound on the padded beats, hand claps and guitars in this very small, energetic feel. Liam's vocals sounded quite gritty with the attitude, and it's pretty bluesy, but it's not really one of the songs that really stands out and has always been one of the other greater ones. But the album's track does, you know, have its purpose, as Noel says that it's Elvis on crack. But yeah, this is not one of the best ones on this album, unfortunately, for me. Guess God Thinks I'm Able is another one that I really, really like very much. It's beautiful from its acoustic presence with a few lead guitars, shakers and percussion. Lyrically, it's quite different, and as Liam had pointed out, that it was about Noel moving into that religion, and it does remain so consistently, which moves things further and further for the last album in the Oasis discography of Dig Out Your Soul. The sweet vocals to the harmony lines were wonderful, and this is more or less like a rarity, I guess you could say, on a bit of a folky mark of musicality. But I really enjoy this one because it's so comfortable. It's a terrific song that I do like so much. Like Love Like a Bomb, it's severely underrated. Parts of the Queue is another one that I have mixed feelings about. While it is pretty cool instrumentally, with Zach strumming that was amazing during the tempo, Noel sings more with drama and precise into his higher registers, and it's quite effective, but it's not one of those songs that did strike out, as like a wow factor and as one of the other strong numbers on the record. But Yet Alone, while Noel wrote these lyrics while he was waiting inside a supermarket, I respect it for what it is. Keep the Dream Alive, Andy Bell wrote this one, but this brings in some kind of a separate feeling into some innocence. And the rocky yet upbringing is so presentable, and there is more of that honesty around the imagery into the words. The chorus was shining on so brightly. It was very, very good. It's not one of those later songs that boosts a lot of energy, but it makes this continuation of the sound of the song so persistent and incredibly melodic from its movement. And this one I do like so much as well. A Bell Will Ring, the only song that was written by himself, that is Gem Archer. I do like the optimism of the way it was brought in, slick, crunchy guitars, and the looping of the chords that follow along with the drums to carry on. But, it doesn't fulfill enough, because not like one of those later tracks where it makes huge sound into some more changes into the melody or the sound. Not one of the other ones that I would really think is another highlight, unfortunately. But yeah, it's pretty subpar. Let There Be Love, I think this is where the lost and disconnected attachment between Noel and Liam does get so noticeable. And I love the separate idea of having Liam singing on the first half of the song and then the second involving Noel's vocals. Besides that, the behaviours that Liam and Noel do have separately, the connection was really breaking apart. And you can feel that from the vulnerability from both the pair of them. Musically is just gorgeous. It's sublime. Acoustic guitars, and later on hearing the sounds of the mellotron, which adds in more of this like Lennon feel. And weirdly enough, this makes me imagine about, the era from Imagine to Walls and Bridges. But Let There Be Love, I think, is one of the best and highest recognitions that there's a lot of the difficulty and personal side. As Noel did write a lot of personal songs earlier on whilst he was with Oasis, but this is another one where it does take that shape into something huge. Let There Be Love is one of my favourites in the later direction of the band, and it's perfect. It's a perfect song to make this album feel as refreshed and as better than what Heath and Chemistry had become. Excellent song from the beginning to the end to finalise this album. Overall, Don't Believe the Truth by Oasis, in my opinion, is a very, very good album. Besides some bits of the drawbacks, let me know what you think of this album in the comments down below. Is this one of your favourites? Maybe one of your higher picks of favoritism in their whole discography? I'm just really curious. And I think this has been, a massive grower the more I've been playing and listening to this. I'm going to give Don't Believe the Truth by Oasis an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.